One wintry evening early in the year 1780,
a keen north wind arrives and night comes on with black and dismal looks.
a bitter storm, sleet, sharp winds, icy cold, was trembling on the rattling windows of the maypole. If he don't come in 5 minutes, I shall have supper without him.
To be sure, Solomon's very late.
Very late, to be sure.
He ain't blown away, I suppose. Did you hear it? There'll be many a broken branch upon the ground tomorrow.
We won't break anything in the maple, sir, then try. What's that?
The wind.
Did you, sir, ever hear the wind say, Maple?
Why, what man never did?
No, ahoy, perhaps?
No.
If either of you two gentlemen like to go out and see what's the matter, you can. I'm not curious myself. Come, sir, what's the matter? Or I'll kill you! How dare you! Say something! Or I'll be the death of you, I will!
Give me something to drink and lock the house doors. Oh, Tommy Cobb, oh, Johnny, oh, Blocks. Why did I leave this house tonight? Of all nights of the year, on the 19th of March.
What the devil do you mean by that?
I have never gone alone into the church after dark on this night for 27 years. He said that as the living keep their birthdays, so the ghosts, uneasy in their graves, keep their death place. Go on. We're always brought back to this subject in some strange way when the 19th of this month comes round. Do you suppose it was by accident I forgot to wind up the church clock? I made as much haste as I could from here, but the wind and rain being dead against me, it was as much as I could do to keep my legs. I got there at last, opened the church door and wound up the clock. And as I took up my lantern to leave, I heard a voice outside, rising from among the graves. What did it say? It gave a kind of cry, as any one of us might do if something dreadful followed us in a dream and came upon us unawares. And then it died off, seeming to pass quiet round the church.
I don't see much in that.
That's not all.
What more, sir, is to come?
What I saw.
Saw?
When I opened the church door, there crossed me something in the likeness of a man. Bareheaded to the storm, he lifted eyes on mine. It was a ghost, a spirit.
Whose was it? Whose was it?
Gentlemen, you needn't ask the likeness of a murdered man. Such tales would not be like at the warren. Let us keep it to ourselves, for we may get into trouble, and Solomon may lose his place. Whether it is as he says or wasn't, is no matter. Right or wrong, nobody will believe him. After all had left, old John got his ideas into focus on Solomon Daisy's story. The more he thought of it, the more impressed he became with the desire that Mr. Handale should be told by himself. He determined to repair to the warren before going to bed. He's my landlord, and the whispering about this here tale would anger him. It is good to have confidence with a gentleman of his nature, and set oneself right besides. Hello there! Hugh! Hugh! Hello!
Can't a man even have his sleep in quiet?
Wrap yourself up at once, for you must go as far as to the warren with me, and look sharp about it.
You don't take a man out at near midnight in this weather, do you, master?
Yes, I do, sir. So hold up this light and go on before it to show the way.
At length, they stood upon the broad gravel walk before the Warren House. The building was profoundly dark. From one solitary turret chamber, however, there shone a ray of light.
The old bloodstained room! Mr. Reuben's own apartment! Oh, God be with us. It's a wonder he his brother likes to sit up there so late, and on this night too.
Why? It's snug enough, ain't it?
Snug? Do you know what's done in that room, you ruffian?
Is it the worse for that because a man was killed there?
Oh, Miss Haredale. Didn't mean to wake you, miss. Thought I might have a word with your uncle.
He's upstairs, Mr. Willett. Awake, I'm certain, but he's been in a low mood all day. Perhaps you should return when he's...
Who is it, my dear girl? Why didn't the servants answer?
Begging your pardon, sir. You told me once that you stayed up late, so I made those come round. Didn't mean to rouse your knees.
Will it, is it not? What is it, ma'am?
Nothing to speak of, sir. We stop before the young lady here. An idle tale. I thought you wanted more. Nothing more.
I will hear you then. Emma back to bed.
Night, Uncle. Please, sleep yourself soon. Think of too many dark things on this night. You must let go of past heartedness.
Those whom we love are not easily released from our hearts, as I'm sure you well know. Will it come in? Not you, Fred. Wait outside. Willet, why do you bring that fellow here?
Why, he's a good guard, you see.
There is no good there, rest assured.
When you were shut out, Mr. Willett recited all that he had heard and said that night.
The story moved much more than he had expected. You did quite right, bid them keep the story secret. It is a foolish fancy on the part of this weak-brained man bred in fears and superstitions. But Miss Haredale would be disturbed by it if it reached her ears. Thank you very much.
What do you mean by such a bow before a gentleman, sir?
Why, even a wet dog may bow, master. I bow to this house, to the young lady, and to the Lord of it all.
The next afternoon, on March the 20th, there was a knock on the house door of Lord George Gordon, Member of Parliament in Welbeck Street, London. A rather unorthodox visitor was shown through the luxurious hallways until he presently knocked on the office door of Lord Gordon's secretary.
Your servant, sir. Master Gashford, isn't it? Secretary to Lord George Gordon?
Correct, friend. What brings you here?
Nothing but that, master. Found it wrapped around a stone near the Maypole Inn, Chigwell. It fell into good hands, you see.
What is this? Where did you get it from, my good man?
It tells the man that finds it to come here, don't it? I'm no scholar, but I showed it to a friend, and he said it did. To every Protestant into whose hands this shall come.
Whoever shall find this letter will take it as a warning to join without delay the friends of Lord George Gordon. There are great events at hand, and times are dangerous and troubled. For king and country, union. Well, brother?
I want to make one against the Catholics. I'm a no-popery man and ready to be sworn in.
Well then, you should first know that the Great Protestant Association seeks to prevent Parliament from abolishing 1. The penal laws against the Roman Catholic priests. 2. The penalty of imprisonment against all those who educate children about persuasion. And 3. The disqualification of all members of the Roman Church from their property in the United Kingdom. The air is filled, my good man, with whispers of confederacy among the popish powers to degrade and enslave England. Such terrors and alarms have been perpetually broached by our good and wise leader, Lord George Gordon. Thus, when one joins the GPA, one joins the defense of religion, life, and liberty.
Then I do hereby swear to join in.
Very good. Very good. Well then, our business being settled, you must forgive me. No popery.
Aye, no popery.
For king and country.
Or them both, aye.
And bless Lord Gordon.
Aye, that too. Bless his lordship, no popery. Being now self-righteously Hugh thought he should repair to the Boot Tavern on the outskirts of London, where he knew there was good Protestant company.
Yeah.
And strong there.
And once there, he repeatedly drank in a loud voice to
The health of Lord George Gordon.
Emancipated from their apprentice thrall, and who aspired to a distinguished state in great political events.
Hence their connection with the GPA.
And hence their present visit to the
Well met. My Lord Gordon does me and you the honour to send his compliments herself.
Oh, you've seen my Lord too, have you? Read them myself this afternoon. You know, I hate the papists. Every one of them. They do me all the harm they can, and I do them all the harm I
I say, haven't I seen you before?
can. I don't know, shouldn't wonder.
Did you ever see me before? You wouldn't be likely to forget, you know, if you ever did. Look at me. Oh, don't be afraid, I won't do you any harm. Come, don't you know me, fella?
Not I, but I should like to.
Well, I'd have wagered once that you were a hostler at the Maple. Don't you know me now?
Why, it ain't.
You remember G-Barton Locksmith, don't you? You remember coming down there to the Golden Key, our shop, before I was out of my time to ask after that vagabond Joe Willis that had bolted off and left his disconsolate father, don't you?
Of course I do. And I saw you there.
You remember when I found you detested the villain Willett worse than poison? I went to drink with you.
To be sure!
You never heard anything more of that rascal, I suppose, eh?
Not a syllable. He's dead long ago, I hope.
It is to be hoped, for the sake of mankind in general and the happiness of society, that he is.
Oh, yeah! Here's my captain! Here's my leader! Then leave me the word of command and I'll fight the whole Parliament House. Or set a lighted torch to the King's chamber. Oh! I quite forgot, Captain. I have somebody to see tonight, but our renewed acquaintance in the drinking put it out of my head.
Well, I give you permission to depart.
Good night, Captain. I'm yours to the death, remember.
Farewell, be bold and vigilant.
No purpose, Captain.
England and blood first. That man will prove a credit to my corps. And the locksmith's child, dear Dolly, is mine. Miggs must be got rid of somehow, or she'll poison the tea kettle one evening when I'm out. He might marry Miggs if he was drunk enough. It shall be done. I'll make a note of it. You.
Though it was very late indeed when Hugh found his way to the lodgings of Sir John Chester, and later still when he convinced the sleepy and suspicious Porter Peak that he was expected, he found himself standing in the esteemed gentleman's doorway that same evening.
I don't care.
Aha, it's you, is it? Come in.
Yes, he was now Sir John. But how?
Nothing so simple or so easy.
One touch with a sword of state.
And the transformation was effective.
John Chester, Esquire, attended court. Such elegance of manner, so many graces of deportment, such powers of conversation could never pass unnoticed. He caught the fancy of the king, knelt down a grub,
And rose a butterfly.
John Chester, Esquire, was knighted and became Sir John, and an MP.
I thought when you left me this afternoon, my esteemed acquaintance, that you intended to return with all dispatch.
So I did, master.
And so you have. Is that what you would say?
I've only done as you ordered.
I said what? When you say I ordered you, my good fellow, you imply that I directed you to do something for me, for my own ends and purposes. You see? Instead of wondering why you have been so long, my wonder should be why you came at all.
You know, master, that I couldn't read that handbill I found. And supposing it to be something particular, I brought it here.
And could you ask no one else to read it? Ruin?
No one that I could trust with secrets, master. Since Barnaby Rudge was lost sight of for good and all 5 years ago, I've spoken to no one but you. I've come to and fro all that time, master, because I wish to please you if I could.
Didn't you give me this room earlier today? Any other reason? No dislike of anybody who has slighted you lately? Abused you? Acted towards you? More as if you were a mongrel dog than a man like himself.
To be sure I did. I'd do anything to have revenge on him. Haredale. Anything. And when you said that he and all the Catholics would suffer from those who joined under that handbill, I said I'd make one of them. I am one of them. He shall see my bark is nothing to my bite.
Oh, you've joined those fellows then? There. Get you going. You have made a pretty evening's work. You'll have an opportunity of revenging yourself on your proud friend Haredale. And for that, you'd hazard anything, I suppose.
I would. Then we pay off old scores in a bold riot where there are men to stand by me. And then it don't matter much to me what the end is.
I do fear exceedingly, that my friend is following fast in the footsteps of his hanged mother. But it is no business of mine.
In the upstairs drawing room of his home and workshop, the Golden Key, Gabriel Barton made preparations for his day's militia duty with the Royal East London Volunteers. Time was now, I remember, when I was like to run mad with the desire to wear a sash of this colour.
Ah, a man at your time of life, Barton, should know better now.
Why, what a ridiculous woman you are, Martha.
Certainly. Of course I am. I know that. Thank you.
Oh, I mean that...
Yes, I know what you mean, Barton. You speak quite plain enough to be understood.
Tut, tut, Martha. I mean to say how strange it is of you to run down volunteering when it's done to defend you and all other women and our fireside and everybody else's in case of need.
It's unchristian.
Oh, unchristian. Why, what the devil?
Yes, please do. By all means, go on. Blaspheme as much as possible. You know how I like it.
I was going to say, which would be most unchristian, Martha, to sit quietly down and let our houses be sacked by a foreign army, or to turn out like men and drive them off. Shouldn't I be a nice sort of Christian if I crept into a corner of my own fireside and looked on while a parcel of whiskered savages bore off Dolly? Or you?
In such a state of things as that, indeed.
Oh, here she is at last. And how well you look, my doll. And how late you are, my darling.
How glad I always am to be at home again.
I don't like being out at the Warren. I can't bear to have you out of my sight. Oh, and what is the news over yonder, doll?
Come, come. You know very well. I want you to tell me why Mr. Haredale, oh how gruff he is again to be sure, has been away from home, traveling about without telling his own niece why or wherefore.
Miss Emma doesn't want to know, I'll swear.
What is this ghost story, which nobody is to tell Miss Emma, and which seems to be mixed up with his going away?
I know no more than you, my dear. And as to Mr. Haredale's journey, well, he goes, as I believe.
Yes?
As I believe on business, doll. What it may be is quite another matter. Read Bluebeard, and don't be too curious, Bette.
Lord George Gordon's speeches would be a great accompaniment.
I recommend all those whose hearts are hardened to hear Lord George, his steady Protestantism, his oratory, his eyes, his nose, his legs, as fit for any
my temper. What are you crying for, girl? I don't hate you.
Yes, you do.
Oh, dry your eyes and make yourself agreeable in heaven's name. Oh, I never wear a sash of this color, but when I do, I think of poor Joe Willett, run off to be a soldier. I love Joe. He was always a favorite of mine. Oh, poor Joe. Old John made a great mistake in his way of acting by that lad. A great mistake.
Never mind young Willett, Martin. I think you might find someone more deserving. Even Mr. Edward Chester, who likewise ran off from his gracious, now knighted father, did so as a loyal member of the Protestant Church.
Aye, and broke dear Emma Haredale's heart, Catholic though it may be.
Nay, Dolly, don't let us bear too hard upon Mr. Edward, or upon poor young Joe, Martha. If the lad is dead indeed, we'll deal kindly by his memory.
A runaway and a vagabond.
A runaway, my dear, but not a vagabond. Don't try hard to gain your good opinion, Martha, I can tell you. It seems but yesterday he followed me out to the Mayport door. "How's Miss Dolly?" says Joe. Oh, he behaved himself well, always, and was a handsome, manly fellow.
Well now, if here ain't Miss Dolly had given way to floods of tears. Oh. Oh.
Miss Dolly ill?
Oh, I have no patience with you. Oh,
What have I done? Every man came into this world for something. My department seems to be to make every woman cry without meaning it. The Royal East London Volunteers made a brilliant sight that day, formed into lines, squares, triangles, circles, and whatnot, to the beating of drums and the streaming of flags, in all of which Sergeant Varden bore a conspicuous share. It was 9 o'clock when the locksmith reached home.
But
The sight of you is good for sore eyes, sir. Have you just come back to town?
it was half an hour ago.
Bringing no news of Barnaby or his mother? I fear that. You exhausted all reasonable means of discovery when they went away. To begin again after so long a time has passed is hopeless, sir.
Father, my good fellow, I have a deeper meaning in my present anxiety to find than how you can fathom. I have no rest, no peace, no quiet. I have wanted you since the night of the storm on the last 19th of March. You know Mrs. Rudge's house has been shut up since she went away. I am on my way there now.
For what purpose?
To pass the coming nights there. This is a secret which I trust to you in case of any unexpected emergency. Emma, your daughter, and the rest suppose me out of London. Do not undeceive them. I rely upon you question me no more at this time. The two men part. Gabriel entering his house and Mr. Haredale continuing to the vacant Rudge home. For several weeks, he shut himself up there. And never varied his proceedings. But one night, when he resumed his solitary watch and sat, sword and pistol close at hand, wandering ghost, dead and buried as all men suppose, through your infernal arts, unreserved by heaven for this. At last I have you. You whose hands are red with my brother's blood, and that of his faithful servant, his gardener, shed to conceal your own atrocious guilt. You, Rudge, double murderer and monster, I arrest you in the name of God. No! Though you have the strength of 20 men, you could not escape me, or loosen my grasp tonight.
Town, under an assumed name and living in quiet poverty, dwelt Barnaby and his mother. To labour in peace and devote her life to her poor son was all the widow sought.
For Barnaby the time had passed him like the wind. The daily suns of years had shed no bright gleam of reason on his mind.
Their huts stood on the outskirts of the town, but in a secluded place, with few chance passengers straying. One summer's night in June, they were in their little garden, resting from the labours of the day. Barnaby's raven Grip hunted unwary grasshoppers.
A brave evening, mother. If we had chinking in our pockets but a few specks of that gold which is piled up yonder in the sky, we should be rich for life.
We are better as we are.
Aye, but gold's a good thing to have, mother. Grip and I could do much with gold, be sure of that.
What would you do?
What a world of things! We dress finely. You and I mean not Grip. Keep horses and dogs, wear bright colors and feathers. You delicate and dataries. Oh, we'd find uses for it, mother.
You don't know what men have done to win it, and how they have found too late that it glitters brightest at a distance, and turns quite dim and dull when handled.
Aye, so you say, so you think. For all that I should like to try.
Nothing bears so many stains of blood as gold. Avoid it. None have such cause to hate its name as we have. Do not so much as think of it, dear love.
A blessing on those voices. I feel the beauty of the night more kingly when I hear them. They are like eyes to me. Will they speak again and cheer the heart of a poor traveller?
Have you wandered far, and with no guide?
A weary way, and long. Be pleased to let me have a draught of water, lady.
Why do you call me lady? I am as poor as you.
Your speech is soft and gentle. I judge by that.
Well, come on this way! Put your hand in my pocket. Tell me, you're blind and always in the dark, eh? Are you frightened in the dark? Do you see great crowds of faces now? Do they grin and chatter?
How have you found your way so far?
Use and necessity are good teachers.
You have wandered from the road, too.
Thank you the more for this rest and refreshing drink. Might I make bold to ask if one would lay this out for me in the bread in the village to keep me on my way? Heaven's blessing on the young people who spare themselves in my aid.
There are various degrees of blindness, madam. There is a physical blindness, and there is a blindness of intellect, in which we have an interesting specimen in your son, and which is to be scarcely trusted in total darkness. Madam, my name is Stan. A friend of mine who has desired the honor of meeting with you any of these 5 years past has commissioned on me to call upon you. Shall I whisper that gentleman's name in your ear?
You need not repeat it. I see too well from whom you come. What do you want?
We are poor, widow. We are poor.
Poor? And what am I?
I don't know, and I don't care. I say that we are poor. My friend's circumstances are indifferent, and so am I. We must have our rights, or we must be locked off.
Is he near here?
Shall I call him?
Not for the world.
As you please, widow. But both he and I must live. We must eat. We must drink. We must have money.
Do you know how pinched and destitute I am?
If you are very poor now, it is of your own choice. You've always had friends who are ready to assist you. Now, my friend has boarded and lodged with me a long time. He is in a more destitute and desolate situation, and being linked together, he naturally looks to you to assist him. You've always had a roof over your head. He has always been an outcast. You've had your son to comfort and assist you. He has had no watch at all. He bears no malice, ma'am. I believe even if you were to disappoint him now, he would consent to take charge of your son and make a man of him. He is a likely lad for many purposes, and is not ill-disposed to try his fortune in a little change and bustle, if I may judge your talk with him tonight. Come, in a word, my friend needs £20. You who can give up an annuity can get that sum for him. And gentlemen, I'm saying things too hastily. Think of it a while. £20 of other people's money, how easy! Oh, sit down, my lad.
All right.
Oh, drink this, for I carry some comfort, you see. Oh, taste that. Is it good? You don't taste anything like that often, eh?
After it ever.
Too poor? Aye, that's bad. Your mother, poor soul, would be happy if she were rich tomorrow.
Why, the very thing I told her just before you came tonight, when all that gold was piled up in the sky. Tell me, is there any way of being rich that I could find out?
Oh, there are 100 ways.
What are they? Nay, mother, it is for your sake I ask, not mine. What are they?
Well, they are not to be found by stay-at-homes.
By stay-at-homes? But I am not one. I am often out before the sun and travel home when he has gone. I tried to find among the grass and moss some of that small money for which she has worked so hard and used to shed so many tears. Tell me where it is. I'd go there if the journey were a whole year long, because I know she would be happier when I came home and brought some with me.
It's in the world, Lord Barnaby. In crowds where there's a lot of noise and rattle.
Oh, yes, I love that. Oh, you'd love to do it. Suits us both. That's great.
It's the kind of place a young fellow likes, and the kind of place a good son may do more for his mother and himself to boot, and a month than he could here his whole life. That is, if he had a friend, you know. Someone to advise with.
Do you hear this, mother?
Have you no answer with him? Is your mind not made up yet?
Let me speak with you apart.
Carriage, Lord Barnaby. We'll talk more of this. I have a fancy for you. You wait there till I come back.
You are a fit agent, and well represent the man who sent you here. First, answer me a question. You say he is close in hand. Has he left London?
And the truth is, William, that him making a longer stay there may have caused for more disagreeable consequences. He has come away without reason.
They are the savings of 5 years. 6 guineas. These have been scraped together, purchased and laid by at the price of much hunger, hard labour, and want of rest. If you can take them, do, on the condition that you leave this place upon the instant.
6 guineas fall very short of £20 a day.
For such a sum, as you know, I must write to a distant part of the country, and to do that and receive an answer, I must have time. A week. Return here on this day week at the same hour.
On this day, next week at sunset. And think of your son.
Mother, what is the matter? Where's the blind man? Gone. Gone? Well, which way did he take?
I don't know. You must not go out tonight. There are ghosts and dreams abroad.
Aye.
It is not safe to stir. We must leave this place tomorrow.
This place? The cottage in the little garden, Mother!
Yes, tomorrow at sunrise. We must travel to London, lose ourselves in that wide place, and travel on again to find some new abode.
One evening, shortly before twilight, Mr. Haredale came his accustomed road upon the river's bank, intending to pass through Westminster Hall.
There was a pretty large concourse of people gathered round the Houses of Parliament.
As he made his way among the throng, he heard once or twice the no popery cry.
No popery!
No popery!
Which was then becoming pretty familiar in the ears of most men. When they had nearly traversed the hall, 2 persons called his attention.
Haredale, God bless me, this is strange indeed. My dear friend, 1 minute, Haredale. For the sake of old acquaintance.
I am in haste, good night.
Fie, how very churlish. We were speaking of you. You know our friend here, Haredale.
Mr. Gashford, it is as I have heard, you have left the darkness for the light, sir, and hate those whose opinions you formerly held. We Catholics thought the business of a renegade. You are in honour, sir, to any cause.
Now really, this is a most remarkable meeting.
Mr. Haredale is too conscientious, too honourable, I am sure, to attach unworthy motives to an honest change of opinion, even though it applies it out to those thoughts itself. Mr. Haredale is too just, too generous, too clear-sighted in his more insight, too...
Yes, sir. You were saying? Haredale, here we stand, 3 old schoolfellows in Westminster Hall, 3 old boarders in a seminary at St. Omer's, where you two, being Catholics, and of necessity educated out of England, were brought up, and where I, being a promising young Protestant at that time, was sent to learn the French tongue.
Add to the singularity, Sir John, that some of your Protestants of promise are at this very moment leagued in yonder chamber to prevent our having the privilege of teaching our children to read and write. Here, in this land, where thousands of us enter your military service every year.
Well, they should.
And to preserve the freedoms of which we die in bloody battle. And that others of you, to the number of some thousands, as I learn, are there not to look on all men of my creed as wolves and beasts of prey by this man Gashford and Lord.
Now, really, you are very hard upon our friend.
Let him go on, Sir John. I am honoured with your good opinions. I can dispense with Mr. Haredale's. Mr. Haredale is a sufferer from the penal laws, and I can't expect his favour.
You have so much of my favour, sir, that I am glad to see you in such good company. You are the essence of your great association in yourselves.
Now there you mistake. I don't belong to the body. I have an immense respect for its members.
Hear, hear.
But I don't belong to it.
I ask your pardon, Sir John, for having ranked you among the humble instruments who are obvious in all men's sights. Men of your capacity plot in secrecy and safety, and leave the exposed post to the duller wits.
Don't apologize for the word. Old friends like you and I may be allowed some freedom.
It is not enough, Sir John, that I, as good a gentleman as you, must hold my property at a trick at which the state connives because of these hard laws, but we must be denounced and ridden by such men as this. Here is the head to your no popery.
No popery!
I cannot talk to you, sir. We have nothing in common.
We have much in common, sir. All that the Almighty gave us. In common charity, not to say common sense and common decency, should teach you to refrain from these proceedings.
Now really, you are very, very hard upon our friend.
Mr. Haredale, without any leave-taking, turned away.
But
the throng of people followed in his wake.
At first there were some indistinct mutterings heard among them,
Followed by a hiss or two.
then one voice said,
Down with the papers!
another man cried out, stone him! Then one stentorian voice said,
No popery!
Who threw that stone? Show me the man with me! Dog, was it you? It was your deed, if not your hand. I know you! Draw dog! Sir John, Gashford, I look to you. Draw if you are gentlemen.
Haredale, my dear friend, you are blinded with passion. It's very natural, extremely natural, but you don't know friends from foes.
I know them all, sir. I can distinguish well. Sir John, Gashford, do you hear me? Are you cowards?
Sir, never mind asking that. What can you do against this number? I can give you from that cut in the first heat of a scuffle. Come, sir, make haste, as quick as you can.
Popery.
Master Gashford, why who'd have thought of this here honor? What's in the wind now, Master? Any orders from headquarters?
oh, nothing. Nothing. We've broken the ice, though. We had a little spat today, eh?
A very little one, not half enough for me.
Brave fellow. By the by, who threw that stone? It was well done. I should like to know the man. You saw how I fell when I was set upon. I made no resistance. I did nothing to provoke an outbreak.
No, by the Lord Harry, you went down very quiet, Master, and very flat besides. He's a rough one to play with, is that there papist, and that's the fact.
I, or rather, my Lord Warden, consigns you to the pleasant task of punishing this head. You may do as you like with him or his, providing that you show no mercy and no quarter, and that you leave no two beams of his house standing where the builder placed them. You may burn it, sack servants whom their mothers have exposed. Do you understand me?
Understand you, master? You speak plain now. This is hard.
I knew you would like it. Good night.
This looks a little more like business.
The following dawn, Mary and Barnaby Rudge closed the door of their deserted home and turned away. Their stock of money was low, but from the hoard she had told into the blind man's hand, the widow had withheld 1 guinea. They were soon sitting in a wagon which was to take them within 10 miles of the capital.
Yeah! Mother, we're going to London first, you said. Shall we see that blind man there?
No, I think not. Why do you ask?
Oh, he's a wise man. What was it that he said about crowds? That gold was to be found where people crowded and not among the trees and in such quiet places. London is a crowded place. I think we shall meet him there.
But why do you desire to see him, love?
Because he talked about gold. And say what you will. A thing you would like to have, I know.
The driver was punctual, the road good, and at the forenoon of that Friday, the wagon stopped at the foot of the Westminster Bridge in London.
They were soon bewildered by the crowd of people who were already astir.
And soon became aware that a vast throng of persons were crossing the river in unusual haste and evident excitement. Nearly every man wore a blue cockade. Oh, good sir, what is the meaning of all these people?
Why, haven't you heard of Lord George Gordon's Great Protestant Association, man? This is the day that he presents his petition against the Catholics. God bless him.
But what have all these men to do with that?
His lordship has declared that he won't present it to the house at all unless it is attended to the door of 40,000 good true men at least. Now there's a crowd for you.
A crowd indeed. Do you hear this, mother?
There'll be a good many faces that turn pale in the House of Commons when good Lord George gets up this afternoon, and we'll go breezy too.
Mother, that's a brave crowd he talks of. Come.
Not to join.
Yes, why not? Come.
You don't know what mischief they may do, where they may lead you, what their meaning is. Dear Barnaby, for my sake.
For your sake. Well, it is for your sake. You remember what the blind man said about the gold. Here's a brave crowd. Come.
Young man, why do you not wear this ornament today?
Oh, in heaven's name, no. Pray, do not give it him.
Speak for yourself, woman. Let the young man do his choice whether or not he will wear the sign of a loyal Englishman or not.
Yes, I will.
Make haste to St. George's Field. By the by, didn't you know that the hour for assembling was 10 o'clock?
Oh, we cannot tell you, sir. We have but this morning come from a long distance in the country.
Ah, I thank heaven for it.
Amen.
No, you do not understand, sir. We know nothing of these matters. We have no right or desire to join in what you are about to do. This is my son, my poor, afflicted son, who is dearer to me than life itself. In mercy's name, sir, go your way alone, and do not tempt him into danger.
Have you the heart, unnatural mother, to say this of your own son? This is a very sad picture of female depravity. With regard to this young man, why, he is as sensible and self-possessed as anyone I ever saw. Had you desired to make one this great boy? Had intended to make one, did you?
Yes, to be sure I did. I told her so myself.
I see. I thought so. Follow me, and you shall have your wish.
The widows strove breathlessly to keep their rapid pace as they passed quickly through the bridge road and arrived presently at St. George's Fields.
Here, an immense multitude was collected, bearing flags, all blue like the cockades. Then they burst into a tremendous shout, and the air seemed rent and shaken, as if by the discharge of a cannon. No Calvary!
It is a proud day. It is a noble sight for England, the great horse round the world. And now we shall find some place in some division for this new.
How now? Barnaby Rudge! Well, where have you been hiding for these 100 years?
What you? Maple Hill!
You wear the colour, do you? Well done!
You know this young man?
Know him, my lord, as well as I know my own right hand. My captain knows him, we all know him.
Will you take me to your division? I must proceed to Westminster to seek the glorious news of Lord Gordon's petition.
Fall in, my Barnaby. He shall march with me, Master Gashford, and he shall carry the gayest silken streamer in this rowdy
Oh,
dog.
no, Barnaby, good turn.
Women in the field, who are captain there?
What's the matter here? You call this order?
Nothing like it, Captain. They're fighting off the ground, Captain, quick.
Close! Form! March!
What do you think of this? They've all come down to see our flags and streamers, eh, Barnaby?
He's the greatest man of all back. His flag's the largest of the lot and the brightest too. All eyes are on him. Here, Barnaby, old boy, attend to me. I'll explain.
I wish I could see her somewhere. She would be proud indeed to see me now, like you. But wouldn't Raven be glad to see me at the head of this large show? She cried for joy, I know she would. But where can she be?
You're talking of your mother. Look, old man, if she's not here, it's because I've sent half a dozen gentlemen to take her in state to a grand mansion, all hung round with gold and silver banners, and she'll wait till you come and want for nothing.
You indeed, that's fine, can't you?
But nothing but will come, bless you.
No, indeed.
All the fine things that are and were or will be will belong to us if we stay true to that noble gentleman, Lord Gordon.
The best man in all the world. And Barnaby, we only have to carry our flags for a few days and keep them safe, okay? That's all we gotta do.
Was that all? I warned you I'd keep this one safe then. You have put it in good hands, you know me, you.
Well said, Barnaby, nobody said.
It was between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon when the crowd met at Westminster. The noise and uproar and every moment the Lord raged and roared like a mad monster.
No covering!
Well said, Rickard. Well said, old boy. Stay inside there where it's in, all right? Go there!
Order! News from my lord.
Gentlemen, we must be firm. They talk of delays, but we must have no delays.
No delays.
They talk of taking your position into consideration next Tuesday, but we must have it considered now. Present appearances look bad for our success, but we must succeed and will.
We must succeed and will!
I'm afraid we have little reason, gentlemen, to hope for any redress from the proceedings of Parliament. But the alarm has gone forth for many miles round, and when the King hears our assemblage here, I doubt His Majesty will say...
I am General Conway, sir. I oppose this petition in all your proceedings. The armed soldiers that you see behind me and I will protect the freedom of this place with swords, bayonets, and rifles. You see, citizens, the members of the House of Commons are surrounded and protected by the military and militia. If a man among the crowd crosses the threshold of the House of Commons, I swear that moment to run my sword straight into his body. All face arrest under the Riot Act unless you disperse at once.
Why go back? One good rush against them will do the business. Rush on then. Let those stand back who are afraid. Let those who are not afraid try and see who shall be the first to pass through that there public doorway. No covering! Tavern in safety, but had not been there many minutes when several groups of men who had formed part of the crowd came straggling in.
Among them was Simon Tompkins. Consider this a good beginning, friend?
Give me security that it ain't an ending. When that soldier went down by Barnaby's hand, we could have made London ours. But no. Our people skulks away like a pack of tame curs, as they are. Where is Barnaby?
Oh! You are here then, dear me. The streets are filled with blue cockades. I rather thought you might have been among them. I am glad you are not.
Sir Chester! Master Gasper, we belong to the cause, don't we?
The cause? There is no cause. The cause is lost.
Lost? Oh, yes. You have heard, I suppose. The petition was rejected by 192 to 6. It's quite final.
We might have spared ourselves some trouble. That and my lord's vexation are the only other circumstances I regret. I'm quite satisfied in all other respects.
What would you have us do, Master?
Nothing. Nothing. When my lord was reproached and threatened for standing by you, I, as a prudent man, would have had you do nothing. When the soldiers were shooting at your compatriots and trampling them under their horses' hoofs, I would have had you do nothing. When a valiant one of them was struck down by a daring hand, and I saw confusion and dismay in all their faces, I would have had you do nothing. Just what you did, in short.
That young man who had so little prudence and so much boldness, Barnaby Rudge, I believe, though I wasn't present at the sordid affair. Oh, I am sorry for him.
Sorry, Master?
Oh, you didn't hear, perhaps? He was duly arrested and faces hanging for his defiance of the Riot Act.
Yet if there should be some proclamation out tomorrow offering £500 or some such trifle for the apprehension of the other man who assisted in the assault on General Conway, still, do nothing.
Fire and fury, Master! What have we done that you should talk to us like this?
Nothing. If, my centaur, you are cast into prison, if the young man has been dragged from you and from his friends, perhaps from people whom he loves and whom his death would kill, is thrown into jail, brought out, and hanged before their eyes, still, do nothing.
You'll find it your best policy, I've no doubt.
Come on. Captain, come on.
Where? To do what?
Anywhere. Anything! Don't stand aside, Captain, or follow.
You are such an impetuous nature. You are such an excitable creature.
I hear that the men who are loitering in the streets tonight are half disposed to pull down a Romish chapel or two, and that they only want leaders.
No jail halters for Barnaby and me. No. They must be frightened out of that. Leaders are wanted, are they? Now, boys, let us start at Warwick Street. There's a chapel to be looted there. Let's celebrate. Down with the Catholic.
No celebrate!
Well, I think this looks a little more like business.
Delivered prisoner, left to himself in Newgate prison, would sit upon the hard floor and remain in that attitude for hours. But one day his solitary hours were broken by the visit of an old associate.
This is bad. Rudge! This is bad. How were you taken and where?
At my wife's house in London where I fought to hide. Yet I was taken by the very man I fought to hide from. By Haredale. I heard the bell that struck me down.
You heard a bell?
No, I heard the bell. Other people will even hang say yet.
You may have struck him down or stabbed him to do.
My art? Between that man and me was another who led him on. I saw him, though he did not, and he raised above his head a bloody hand. He and I stood glaring at each other on the night of the murder, and before he fell, he raised his hand like that and fixed his eyes on me.
You have a strong fancy.
Strengthen yours with blood and see what it will come to. 28 years. Fancy. Do I fancy that I killed him? Reuben? Do I fancy that as I left the chamber where he lay, there stood the face of a man peeping at me from a dark door, the gardener, who plainly suspected what I had done? Do I remember that I spoke fairly to him? That I drew him near yet with the hard knife in my sleeve? Do I remember how he died? It was then I fought for the first time, fastening the murder upon him. Then I dragged him down the back stairs to that piece of water. Do I remember listening to the bubbles that came rising up when I rolled him in? Did I go home when I had done it? Oh my God, did I stand before my wife and tell her? And did she fall upon the ground? Is that fancy? Did she call on heaven that she and her unborn child renounce me from that hour? And did she tell me to fly while there was still time? For though she would be silent, being my wretched wife, she would not shelter me. And I go forth that night, abjured of God and man, and anchor deep in hell to wander at my cable's length about the earth, and surely be drawn down at last.
Why did you pretend?
I was a man who had been 22 years dead. I was not new.
You should have kept your secret better.
My secret? Mine? It was a secret. Any breath of air could whisper its will. It lurked on strangers' faces and on their voices. Anything had lips on which it always trembled. My secret.
It was revealed by your own act. At any rate, when you returned to the graveyard.
The act was not mine. As truly as a lodestone draws iron towards it, so he, lying at the bottom of his grave, would draw me near when he would.
I suppose then that you are penitent and resigned, and that you wish to make peace with everybody, including your wife, who has brought you to this, and that you ask no greater favour than to be hung as soon as possible.
What? As my whole life, for 28 years, been one perpetual resistance and struggle, and do you think I want to lie down and die?
I will not call you that again. I am only anxious that you should not die unnecessarily, your worthy lady. Your tender, troublous, but not finally affectionate wife is in London.
A curse on her and reach you where she lay. How do you know?
From my friend, the noble captain, the illustrious general of Bladder, Simon Tackleton. I learned from him yesterday that your son had been lured away from her and is now being arrested for attacking a soldier.
What is that to me? If father and son should be hanged together, what comfort shall I find in that?
Suppose I track my lady out and send this much. Now, a person said to be your husband is in jail. The charge against him murder. Now, ma'am, your husband has been dead a long time. If you say an oath of how he died, and when, and that this man is no more he, then I will take up your son, a fine lad, out of harm's way. I know the truth about those who dragged him into the Wright that day, their names and whereabouts. If you refuse to do so, I'm afraid they will assuredly sentence him to death.
There is a gleam of hope in this.
It's time for visitors to leave the jail.
Cheer up, friend. This case of mistaken identity will soon be set at rest, and then you are a man again.
The clock was on the stroke of 1 with Gabriel Barton, and Miss Miggs sat waiting in the little parlour above the Golden Key.
Oh,
Miggs. Simon, how comes it you return to home at this time of night, and in this condition? Give me an assurance you have not been amongst the rioters tonight, and I am satisfied. You've been drinking.
In the most offensive sense of the word, sir, I consider you a liar. But in that last observation, you have unintentionally struck upon the truth.
Martha, I trust it may turn out that this poor lad is not the victim of the knaves and fools we have so often had words about. If he has been at Warwick Street or Duke Street tonight, Martha, your great association would have been to him the cart that draws men to the gallows and leaves them hanging in the air.
He was not at Duke Street or at Warwick Street, Chief Varden. But he was at Westminster. Perhaps, sir, he kicked a county member. Perhaps, sir, he tapped a lord. You may stare, sir. I repeat it. Blood flowed from noses. You know, this was a bishop's tooth. Beware, Chief Varden.
You idiot. You know what peril you stand in.
It is my glory.
Oh, get to bed a couple of hours that you may wake penitent. Martha, he has lived in this house, man and boy, a dozen years. I should be sorry if for this one day's work he made a miserable end. Oh! Quick, Simon, get to bed. Minx, take him.
Yes, oh do! Come to bed directly.
You spoke of Miggs, sir. Miggs may be smothered. This family may all be smothered.
Idiot!
Excepting Mrs. V. I have come here for your sake this night. Chalk no popery on your door tomorrow night. It's a protection, and you may need it. Be warned in time, Chief Varden. Farewell. My bleeding country calls me, and I go! No! If you don't let me go, I'll pinch you. I've made arrangements for you in an altered state of society, and made to provide for you comfortably in life. There, will that satisfy you?
Simon! Oh, Miss! How can I explain my feelings in these conflicting moments?
I'll knock you down if you come near this door. Simon, come back here. Go thy way, Sim, for the rope is round thy neck, I fear.
Gabriel, I could have known!
Yes, my dear, I know. But recollect from this moment on that all good things perverted to evil purposes are far worse than those which are naturally bad. But let us say no more on it. There, that's easily disposed of. I would that all things growing out of the same society could be settled as easily. Pleasant dreams to you, my dear, and a cheerful sleep.
Simon means to provide for me comfortably in life.
Long after the sunrise of the new day, you arose at what had become the headquarters of the Bulldog Company of the GPA, the Boot Tavern, in its rather isolated and remote vicinity of the town proper.
Good day, master. Is this better? You heard of our doings, the burnings and plunderings of the chapels last night. Your papist heads were cracked. Is this more to your liking?
No, it is not.
What cannot kill
But have you put a little more to your work, fools? Can you make your own bonfires of rags and scraps? If you burn nothing whole?
A little patience, master. Wait but a few hours and you shall see. Look for a redness in the sky tonight down Chigwell Way.
You've heard the news then? Yes. I suppose you would have heard it.
What news?
You don't? Ah, dear me. Then I am the first to make you acquainted with your distinguished position. It is a proclamation from the King and Council offering £500 to whomever will discover the person or persons most active in demolishing those chapels.
Is that all? I knew of that.
Ah, your aristocratic friend, I might have guessed, was sure to tell you.
Oh, what friend?
Tut, tut. Do you suppose I do not know where you have been? How do you think me? Shall I say his titled name? Sir George?
No!
You've also heard from him, no doubt. That the rioters who were taken, poor, simple-minded fellows, are to be committed for trial, and that some very active witnesses will have the temerity to appear against them. Among others, a Catholic gentleman, one Haredale.
And the first great step to be taken is to make examples of these witnesses and frighten all men from ever appearing against any of our body.
Do not, my good man, forget our talk one evening about this fellow. Fire, the saying goes, is a good servant, but a bad master. Make it his master. He deserves no better. Remember, he thirsts for your lives, and those of all of your brave and slow-witted companions. Won't you use for, what's the first name? Barnaby, if not for yourself.
Come on, Captain. Come here. Go.
No poke.
No. Come on. Shut it.
That same night, John Willett was arguing with his cronies at the Maypole.
Gone and secretly much missed by him were the nights when old John could vent his argumentative nature on his son, Joe.
For Joe had joined the King's army to fight the American War 5 years ago.
And it not been heard from since.
Do you think, sir, that I'm a born fool?
No, Johnny, we all know better than that. You're no fool, Johnny.
No, Johnny, not you.
Then what do you mean by telling me that this evening you're going to ride up to London to have the evidence of your own senses? Don't I tell you that His Blessed Majesty King George would not stand the rioting and rollicking in his streets?
Yes.
Do you suppose, if this were true, that Mr. Haredale would be away from his home as he is? Do you think he wouldn't be afraid to leave his house with them two young women, Emma and Mr. Varden's daughter, in it?
The warring needs some goodish ways out
The story goes is that you saw ghosts, but nobody believes it.
Well, it's true. And true enough, if we mean to go to London, we must be going. So, we'll stay off the main road for ways to be safe. So, shake hands, Johnny.
I shall shake hands with no man that goes up to London on such nonsensical errands. Mr. Willett looked after them and laughed at their folly. Stupid idiots. Then he sat himself comfortably and fell sound asleep. When he awoke, a few bright stars were twinkling overhead. Was there a sound in the air?
Quick, friends, help me open the gate for my horse.
Sir, Mr. Haredale, please be advised by us. Do not go on.
We've heard of ruffians passing this way and suspect what kind of men they are.
You will be murdered, sir.
So be it.
No! Mr. Haredale, worthy sir, good gentlemen, pray be persuaded. Do not go, sir.
You cannot face them alone.
They are out to do mischief to Catholics, sir.
Then my niece and servants and Miss Barton are in danger. Will you come with me? I may need witnesses.
Oh, sir.
The Lord will with you, sir.
In an instant, they were riding away at full gallop.
It was well their horses knew the road they traversed.
But never once did Mr. Haredale leading cast his eyes upon the ground.
Or turn from the light towards which they sped so madly. On till they reached the maple door.
I could plainly see that the nearby fire began to fade as if for want of fuel. Willet, where are my niece and servants? Willet!
Johnny!
Here's a change.
That the maple law should come to this, and we shall live to see it.
Willet, did my niece and servants escape you? Are they safe here somewhere?
You know us, don't you, Johnny?
You know, Daisy, Chigwell Church, bell ringer.
Sing to the bride.
So you're all right, Johnny?
They didn't beat you, did they?
If they only had the kindness to murder me, I would have thanked them kindly.
No, don't say that, Johnny. No, it's very, very bad, but not quite so bad as that. No!
Have you seen or heard of Emma?
No.
Nor anyone but these bloodhounds? No. I trust in heaven they rode away before these dreadful scenes began.
Abruptly, Mr. Haredale left, mounted his horse, and flew rather than galloped towards the pile of ruins.
Once there, he dismounted and stole softly along the footpath into what had been the garden of his house.
He stopped for an instant to look upon its smoking walls and at the stars that shone through roof and floor upon a heap of crumbling ashes.
Not a tear, a look, or gesture indicating grief extended.
Is there anyone here who recognizes my voice? There is nothing to fear now. If any of my people are near, I entreat them to answer. Miss Varden. Emma.
He was kneeling near the foot of the tower where the alarm bell hung.
The fire had raged there, but a part of the staircase still remained,
Winding upward from a great mound of dust and cinders.
Yet the bell still hung on a fragment of stone, now sounding dismally amid the